at Cartridge Gaming in Lima, Ohio. I'm one of your guys, one of your guides. I am Nuni Puente.
Jim Garcia.
And we are here with
My name's Will Long.
Will Long. This is your store, right?
Yes.
Dude, how's it feel to walk in here and be like, this is mine? You know?
Oh, that's pretty.
Like ADD's kicking in too. It's like, wait a minute, what's that?
You
You know, it's got to be cool, man, to have all this. Like, did you envision that when you first started this?
We started out in a flea market basically, just selling video games, and kind of worked our way up to. I mean, we just ended up growing our inventory, grew out of our current spot, moved to a spot across the street, and then out here. And I always wanted to do an arcade. I never had room before, and we just started collecting pinball machines, and now you see it. So
yeah. Because like our biggest thing, like our channel is going to be basically about like old school gaming. Like that's to us, that's what started everything. That's why you have Call of Duty. That's why you got Fortnite. You know, I think everything started from something. And I think that's one thing that we're into. That we remember getting together with friends, playing video games, and going to arcades and stuff like that. And like that's a dying thing now. But it's like that retroness. To me, that's gaming.
right.
You know.
Oh yeah.
And I think that's why you built this. You know.
Yeah.
I mean, this is a heck of a man cave. You know, you know, like everybody was like, dude, I want like a pinball machine. You got like 20 pinball machines in here, so it's like this is a heck of a man cave, you know. I mean, just to see the amount of people that, I mean, I'm sure you see people's eyes like when they light up because they see the pinball, like,
Oh yeah.
you know, I mean, that's the feeling that you wanted to build.
Oh yeah.
You know, because you remember when you walked into something like that and you seen them games, you know.
Well, and with the old systems too. I mean, when we started out, there wasn't really a place that you could get any old Nintendo games. I mean, you just had to run across the, garage sale, or once in a while you'd hit them in the flea market, or that's where we started. So
yeah, and I mean, it's weird how like it's changed from 20 years because I've collected like 2 or 3 times. And married, so the boss is like, hey, this is taking up too much room, you got to get rid of this. So it's more like giving that stuff away, even though I paid money for it, like you said, getting the garage sales and stuff.
Oh yeah.
And like now I'm in my 3rd phase of collecting again. You know?
Right,
So
trying
it's
to
like,
get them back.
I want to get them back, you know.
Yes.
And we were talking about when you had the Nintendo, you never really bought a game, you just rented them. You know, you only bought so many games. You maybe bought a handful of games your whole NES career of owning the NES, right?
Well, and we trade a lot. I mean, back in, I grew up with the original Nintendo, and we had pretty much everybody had one, so we'd trade and stuff like that. But yeah, I don't know, man. I probably traded more than I rented, honestly.
Really?
yeah,
So
back in the day.
We never really traded. It was like, hey, can I borrow this? And then they never saw it again.
Yeah, that's how it was.
Oh, that happened. That happened a lot. Yeah, I probably had 4 or 5 copies of like Mario 2, Mario 3, because they'd go away and you'd let somebody borrow them.
And then you got to the point where people were just writing their names in the back.
Yeah.
You're in the car, so
Yeah,
they got
yeah.
the name in the back now, because like, dude, I know you're not going to give it back, so I need
It's
it.
like the Woody with the
Yeah, exactly. I know it's mine. See, it's got my last name on it.
Oh yeah.
But no, ours was definitely rented, man. I remember going to the store. I mean, you would go in there, and like, of course, everybody's in there renting stuff, you know.
Yeah.
What was nice about when I rented the Nintendo games, the Super Nintendo was out. We were always one generation behind. So like, I'd go in there, like all the Nintendo games are in there. I'd take like 3 of them, and everybody's looking at me like, "What's wrong with this guy? This guy's at the bottom of the shelf, and we're over here on the Super Nintendo area,
man.
you know, and I'm just grabbing all the games."
Yep.
You know, I mean, like, what's one of your favorite games? NES.
NES. I go with all the Marios, of course. Mario 2 is probably my favorite. I know it's an oddball, but I just love it for some
Mario
reason.
2 is like
Mario 2.
Yeah, absolutely got to be one of my favorites for sure.
Yeah, it's a remake of a Japanese. It's like reskinned with Mario stuff on a Japanese game, but I mean, it is what it is. I love it. So.
The enemies were cool, the Shy Guys and Birdos and all that stuff. I really wish Mario would have another dream and go back to that land and recreate
I
it.
do
It's
too.
great.
I really do too. The kind of mechanics that they had in that game were great. With the princess floating.
Yeah.
Princess
Every
all
character
the way.
felt different. That was the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Like every character, like there was the first time that you had a different character that controlled different than somebody else. That was a cool thing.
They had different. Each one had different play control, and it was good.
It's like I think the original game was like Arabian, or it was like an Arabian Nights.
Doki Panic.
Yeah, and they just put Mario characters in it. So and actually they did adopt a few of the characters. I can't remember which they were, but yeah, they actually took some of the characters and they were new to the Mario world in that game.
Yeah. So like the Shy Guys, you see them a lot of times in the Yoshi games. You see Shy Guys and Birdo will be like in.
Yeah, Birdo, that's what it was. That was one of the characters that they kept. So.
Yeah, it's because like they did release a Mario 2 for the Famicom in Japan, right? It was straight up Mario
sure
again, but it was just like a little bit harder.
A lot harder.
Yeah,
a lot harder.
Yeah.
Because
it was brutal, man. Playing Mario Bros. I mean, it was a brutal game. I mean, we were talking about how it's almost like a rhythm beat. Like you knew when to jump, you knew when to like get through it because it was just more of a rhythm of hitting the buttons and dodging and jumping. You always progressed further because you got more into the song and more into the beat of everything. Like it all mixed in together so well.
Well, and we were doing speed runs before we even knew speed runs. At least I was. I actually figured out how to beat Mario 2 in less than 20 minutes, and that's actually.
You beat it in 20 minutes, Mario 2?
A little. I think it was like 19 something, but that's actually not that fast. I mean, the fastest record is way faster than that.
Just holding B the whole time and just praying.
I mean, that was the thing, you know. It's like when you got a Nintendo game, you know, a lot of people talk now about gaming and how many hours you can put into a game and how many this is. You put unlimited hours into a Nintendo game because there was no save points.
Yeah,
there was nothing like that. It was like you either finished it or you didn't, and you had to start right back in the beginning, you know, and then progress after that.
I remember beating my head on Mega Man back in the day.
That was
Mega Man 2, I think, was the first one I played.
Yeah.
And Mega Man, it was ruthless. I mean, they did eventually have, you know, codes you could put in where you could at least save some of the bosses you beat.
Yeah.
But man, it was tough. Some of them levels.
Yeah, dude, but that's what I loved about it. Like that's my gaming thing. Like even though it was that brutal, it was still that much fun because you could get unlimited hours into it. Even though you played the same thing over and over, it was still unlimited hours you could put into that. And then you brought your buddy over and like, dude, see if you can beat this. You know?
Oh yeah, you had to get help sometimes.
We were just talking about that earlier because we were talking about like my favorite game, but favorite game that I love to hate is Battletoads.
Oh, Battletoads.
I love to play the first 3 levels. After that, you can't because you can't get past it. It was so terrible, but I love to play the game. I would play the first 3 levels and get enjoyment out of it.
Yeah, Battletoads. That's probably one of my top 10 games.
Yeah.
On Nintendo.
Now, what the whole point? They did Battletoads with what, like Double Dragon or what was
it?
Battletoads with Double Dragon. Was that kind of like that? Remember that Terminator and RoboCop?
I mean,
it's more of a beat 'em up still.
Yeah, it was a
beat
'em up. Yeah.
That's cool. I remember the Terminator and RoboCop versus RoboCop. It was basically the Terminator game and RoboCop. You beat one stage and you went to stage 1 of Terminator. And then it would just go back and forth. Like they tricked us because I was a fan of Terminator and RoboCop.
Right.
So like you get the game and then it was like it's the same game as RoboCop and Terminator. It's just they just switched the
Just hand it
levels.
to your brother here. Play this.
They got me on that, and that was the thing, man. Like that's Nintendo got us with that.
Yeah.
You know the cartridge. Like I said, when I remember getting Contra, it was like, oh, I can be Arnold Schwarzenegger and Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And that's what it was. That's what they knew exactly how to capture somebody like you had that.
Well, yeah, we were a captive audience at the time. I mean, what you had Genesis out, you had Super Nintendo. I think Turbo Graphics was around, but nobody really got. I mean, I don't think I had a single friend that had a Turbo Graphics back in the day.
No, I didn't know anybody that had one.
I was one that always wanted it. I always look at the GamePro magazine. Look at that Bonk's Adventure.
Yeah, exactly.
The Turbo Express. I'd love to take it on the go. It's so cool.
Yep.
But
you see the graphics on that, and you just wonder why. But
it never really. I mean, I think the price point was high though.
The price point was
compared to everything else. The price point was so high. You had like. Buying a Nintendo.
I own one now.
You own one now, yeah. It's like you own one now, yeah. But like back then, I was like, there's no way I can sit there and spend that much money on that thing when I can get a Nintendo with this whole library.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
I can get a Super Nintendo with this whole library.
Well, and you look at like today's games, the same thing. I mean, you look at Microsoft, no games. They produce no games, no killer games, no games you have to have for the system. Sony came out and snagged all the good games for their system. Then you look at Nintendo. They just crank out hits after hits after hits. It's all about the games that you put on your system.
Yeah, Nintendo's like in their own world, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
They pretty much do whatever they want.
Year after year.
I mean, that was the thing too, when the new regime took over. I was like, man, hopefully they still keep it the same, and that's what, not try to be like, well, we want to be the next Xbox, we want to be the next PlayStation. I just want them to stick to what they were, Nintendo. Mario Brothers, Mario Kart, Smash Brothers, Donkey Kong, just the classic stuff. They can still continue to do that same setup, that same everything that it is, and then just make it better, make it look nicer. I don't want them to have them real graphics to be like, we're just as good as Xbox now. And I'm glad that they have not done that, because that's one thing I loved about Nintendo, is that they stuck to script all the time. They never jumped off script.
I'd like to see them do a little bit more with some of their stuff. I'd like to see some more Metroid and things like that. But that's everybody. Yeah, that's everybody. I see Nintendo like really focusing on handheld and portable type stuff, which is what they should do. People are carrying their phones around. I mean, your phones do everything.
Yeah.
Nintendo's even doing phone apps and whatnot. So I don't know.
Mario Run, you done with that?
I have it.
Yeah. Dude, it looks nice.
It's just okay.
Yeah, it looks nice. I didn't say it was nice. I said it looks nice.
Right.
They really, it does look nice.
Yeah.
But dude, I remember like with the Nintendo, you remember how they used to tell you not to hook it up to the big TVs because it ruined it? You remember that? Remember everybody was saying that?
Yeah, the like projector TVs.
Yeah. I remember Mom and Dad would leave for like to go out or something, and they were working that day. Like, we need to hurry up or it's gonna burn into the TV. We were timing ourselves on how long we could use the TV. You had that one TV that was for the Nintendo. And Mom and Dad like, don't use the living room TV because you're gonna ruin it. It's gonna burn Mario forever into our screen, and we don't want that.
I don't know if I ever saw proof that ever happened, but
it's like, it's gonna ruin your 3 channels you got. Like that's what it's gonna do.
I had a little 13-inch TV that I played my games on that had the little.
That's what it was.
Had 1 through 12. And UHF. I don't know if anyone knows UHF.
UHF
on it. Weird Al, great. It's a great movie if you like it.
Yeah, UHF. I remember that.
UHF, VHF. It's all I had a floor model TV, must have been like this big, and I think we found it on the side of the road or something. We drug it home somehow, and when you turned it on, you had to wait like 10 minutes.
You had to power it up, like it had to warm up.
Oh yeah, it had to warm up. Yeah, and after about 10 minutes, you could smack it a couple times, and it would actually. And I remember playing Mega Man on that thing. Man, endlessly Mega Man.
Yeah. And that's what I was telling him. I remember like playing the game, you'd have to leave your system on.
Yeah.
You weren't able to.
Yeah, some games.
Yeah, you weren't able to turn it off. So like you had to hide it from Mom and Dad, knowing that it was on, because. I mean, they would go to the extreme, like, oh, you know how much power you're using that?
Oh, yeah.
They would go to the extreme of how much. Like, I never thought about that. Like, who cares how much power I'm using? I didn't know there was a such thing as an electric bill, Like, I would just leave it on, like, I don't care, like, lights on. As a kid, you don't think about that stuff. But I don't know how much power to actually use. But I remember them always saying, you can't leave that on. You know how much your electric bill's going to be? I'm like, what's that? Electric bill. Yeah. All I worried about was getting fed and renting games, That was it.
I remember doing that for Fester's Quest because there wasn't any really good save points in it. And if you could build up your guy best weapons and everything, and if you died, you pretty much had to level all your stuff up again.
Still haven't played Fester's Quest.
Yeah, we were just talking about it. Yeah,
still haven't played it.
Oh, dude, it's
good. Everyone says it's great. I still haven't played it. I was always turned off by the box art. Box art just I was like, Uncle Fester. I don't play Uncle Fester.
That is kind of weird that it's like it's Uncle Fester, like from Addams Family, right? For most, it is what it is.
I don't know. Was he the only one that wanted to sign on to it?
I guess Morticia was like, I don't know what about my game, and they're like, you're not thinking about women right now. I don't know. Back then, it was the '80s. I don't know.
Could have been like Cousin It's Salon or something. Cut its hair. And
everybody's like, Adams who? Like a lot of people don't know. Like they're like that's what got me with Nintendo was like they took these characters that, like. It was like movies, like Little Mermaid. I can remember the Little Mermaid games. I can remember the Lion King stuff. Stuff that captured people for the movies. Like they made games out of it. Like every time a movie came out, you knew there was a game that was going to be attached to it. You were just waiting to see what it was.
Rocketeer.
Yeah, Rocketeer. They made a game out of everything.
Yeah. Jaws was pretty good.
Jaws was awesome.
I kind of like Jaws.
I love Jaws. Going back and forth. Yeah, you're shooting the seashells. Yeah,
and you had to hit him like perfect.
Yeah,
I believe when he came out or something. Yeah.
Friday the 13th. Love playing Friday the 13th.
Never understood that one. I mean, I had to get that one explained to me by my manager. I was like, "What do you got to do? You got to go here. You got to go there."
Yeah, it was like you had to go collect this. You had to get the mask. You had to get this. It was like a whole thing. But like that's what I loved about Nintendo too was the fact that they never told you what you had to do.
Oh yeah.
They gave it to you and like figure it out.
Yeah, you had the little instruction booklet, and then sometimes it'd give you a little teaser to get started, but And back then in the 80s, 90s, you know, it wasn't easy. You couldn't just like Google search a guide or anything like that. You had to wait until like the Nintendo Power came into the library. Yeah. You had to go in there, hope it wasn't checked out or whatever. Nobody was using it. Yeah, it was wild.
Dude, I remember you snuck the phone and you called the 1-800 number.
Oh,
no,
did you do it?
And then you got your butt kicked.
Yeah.
And then you got your butt kicked.
Oh no, I couldn't. No, there's no way, dude. They're already complaining about the electricity, dude. I can imagine a phone bill on that.
That was actually one of my a Nintendo counselor was one of my dream jobs when I, you know, when in the 80s, 90s, I was like, man, I would love to do that as a job, you know, just walk people through.
Yeah, as soon as you get in, they're like, hey, we're shutting it down. What do you mean you're shutting it down? There's a thing called the internet.
You play games for a living? You play games for a living? Now you look at Twitch, it's like, oh, wow.
Yeah.
It's really changed.
Yeah, I could imagine like my dad finding that 1-800 number and thinking it's like a call line for like a chick or something. And then he'd be like really mad, not because it's not a call line for a chick, but it's for Nintendo. He's like, you telling me you didn't talk to some girl, you talked to a guy about Nintendo?
He probably wouldn't say anything because he'd be hiding it from your mom.
Yeah, then he'd probably turn around and call and be like, he did, he was calling Nintendo again. That's the way my dad was. I can't help it.
Right.
But dude, I was telling him, like, I remember my dad had an Atari. Like, I remember growing up with the Atari, like I said, but I wasn't allowed to play it. I wasn't allowed to play it because it was just him and his buddies drinking beer, playing that, and we weren't allowed to touch it.
Really?
Yeah, forever, I just want to grab the controller and play and stuff. And then when I finally got my Nintendo, it was already when the Super Nintendo came out. That's when I got my Nintendo.
Yeah.
And the funny story is we talk about it. Like, I'm a comedian, so I do a lot of jokes about it. But my dad, my first game I got, besides Mario Brothers, that came in the box was Adventures of Lolo.
Okay.
And it was actually a rented Nintendo game for Christmas. That's what I got.
Oh my.
Yeah, he rented me a game for extra days while we were off on school, and I had to take it back. So one of my gifts, I actually had to take back to the video connection.
Nice.
Yeah, so it was like, that's a memory of mine. Like, and I love that game, dude. That game is so cool. Like, my dad didn't know how to read, so he just, I don't know what drew him to the blue dot thing, but he's like, oh, you know what, I'm gonna get him this game, you know. And besides the games with the guns, I'm gonna get him this guy. Like, that's what he went with. But that was my first game, and we ended up eventually buying that game because we loved it so much because we played so many hours.
Nice.
You know, and that was nice about Nintendo. It was like, you got this game and you put so many hours in it, eventually you're like, you know what, it is a cool game. Even though it was nothing, like, it was cool to you because that's all it really was.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and we had, my mom was famous for getting stuff out of the bargain bin. So, I mean, we would get the games that nobody wanted to play.
Yeah.
I think she got us Dino Wars. I don't know if you remember.
Dino Wars.
Because Dino Wars was on clearance for like, I mean, you could probably get it for $5 or something. And I remember getting it, and we actually played the heck out of it. And I mean, it was a lot of the same stuff, but we still, like I said, we played the heck out of everything just because it was there, you know? So
That's always,
hey, have you ever played Bible Adventures?
Yes,
Did you ever get
played Bible Adventures, yes. I remember it was gold cartridge. It was a solid gold cartridge.
I had the light blue one.
The light blue one? Okay.
But we got it for Easter. I mean, and it was like, for real.
Very festive, you know?
Yeah, we got an Easter present, and it was like, man, this is actually kind of cool.
It was, yeah. Have you ever played Bible Adventures?
No, I haven't.
Dude,
oh, man.
Well, we went to
my Bible Adventures was actually going to church. My mom would take me to church all the time.
Oh,
It was an adventure.
Yeah. Dude, I remember playing it. We didn't have it. We played it at a buddy's house. It was actually my buddy's cousin's house, and they were really religious. So he's like, dude, I got a Nintendo. We're like, oh, dude, let's go upstairs and play it. Like, what do you got? You know, we start naming off all these games. You got this, you got this. You got Bible Adventures. And we're just kind of looking at each other like, what? Like, dude, you ever heard of this? You ever heard of Castlevania?
Yeah, gameplay was good, wasn't it?
Dude, it was cool.
It was okay. I mean, it was
for the time, it was cool.
It had some platformer stuff going on, and yeah, I mean, it was all right.
You had a choice between, like, what was it, like Noah's Ark?
Yeah, there was a couple games on it.
There was like 3 or 4 games.
Yeah, you go around collecting animals for Noah's Ark, and then there was like a David and Goliath thing, I think, on there.
Isn't that game pretty valuable now?
Oh, it's
not. I don't think it's super valuable. It's an uncommon, I'd say. Just because of the run, I don't think they. I can't say. I wouldn't say they made like $1 million or anything like that, but I don't know what the production run on it was. But they did have 2 different versions because you had the.
It was solid gold.
I think there was a black, there was a light blue. I don't know, maybe a gold. Yeah, it's wild.
came with communion and a glass of wine. I mean,
something. And that wasn't the only one they put out. There was a couple other like Bible themed ones.
Yeah, they made a sequel, dude. It's like a sequel to Bible Adventures, you know?
Old and New Testament.
Yeah, the Old and New Testament is like, yeah.
The Super Nintendo, they had that Noah's 3D's Ark or Super Noah 3D Ark or something like that.
Okay. Yeah.
Where you had to put another game just to play it because it was sketchy. You know what I'm saying?
It's so weird. It's so weird because it's like you remember when like all that ESRB and stuff like that came out for the gaming, you know, a lot of it was pushed to the church, like, oh, it's so violent. You know?
Oh yeah.
And then to turn around and be like, well, you guys made a game for the Bible.
Well, yeah, like so they almost had to.
There was another game based on a Bible character, was it Little Samson?
Yeah, Little Samson. Little Samson was a great game. but that came out near the end of a life cycle, and you know, they knew what they were doing. They maxed out the machine pretty much. So,
it's like, don't get me wrong, I didn't want to make fun of the kid, but in the same sense, like, dude,
Isn't that cool?
Bible Adventures, that's what you got.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Very expensive.
Like,
game
your
to find
Nintendo
out.
isn't worth anything right now, you know? You get your daily God, I'll give you that. But there's other games out there. But yeah, you know, like I said, the Mega Man games, I love those. I love those games. Going into those games, every single one of them. I remember that was the first game I actually spent $70 on my own money and bought. I think it was Mega Man 6 or 7. We were talking about it the other day. It was the one with the Pharaoh on it. Is that 6?
The later Mega Man's all blend together.
Yeah.
For me.
I think it was like 6 or something.
Yeah.
What was that? What's the most expensive part you ever got in here? They're like, oh my gosh, it's here.
Here? I've seen Zombie Nation a couple times for the original Nintendo. Man, the most expensive. That might have been it.
Now, do you keep some of the stuff? Like, if somebody brings something, like, oh, this is mine. I mean, how do you?
Yeah,
that's gotta feel awesome.
Well, I've got a small collection. I've sold some of it over the years, but I keep some of the good stuff.
Yeah.
You know, I got a little game room. So.
I think it'd be a little brutal. Like, you get a game in that everybody wants, and you put the price tag on it, and it says cannot afford. And they're like, why can't I afford it? Because it's mine. I don't store it.
Oh yeah.
I just want you guys to know that.
Oh, yeah, I've been known to put a price on something like I don't really want to sell this thing.
Yeah.
So I'll put whatever on it.
And then somebody comes in and buys, like, oh man, I
Yeah.
made that.
I gotta find another one.
You see them?
But,
Oh, so I don't know how that got in there. Excuse me. Not for sale.
Yeah. So you guys have been open for how long?
About 5 years, I guess. 6? I don't know. I'm not good with years, man. They all blend together. But yeah, it's been open for quite some time.
All right, man. You started on your own, or?
This is a family business, but I've got my wife helping me, my son, daughter, and we got a couple friends.
Okay. Now, is your wife big into gaming too, then?
Yeah, a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, she's not as big as me and my son, but yeah. I mean, and her favorite game is I think Tetris Attack.
Yeah, that's what we were talking about. Our wife, like,
Believe it or not.
Yeah, Tetris. Like I was telling her, I don't think I would want my wife to be like a big gamer, you know, because I mean, how expensive it would be to have 2 Xboxes, 2 PlayStations, 2 Switches. Like that would be added so much. I'm sure with you and your boy, you probably got 2 Xboxes. 2
Oh yeah, we do. He's got his own game room, and then I've got mine. So.
Oh, he has his own game room.
Well, his room is a game room.
Oh, okay.
So.
You ever like just bring him here and be like, "Here's mine."
Oh yeah. Well, I actually, I mean, I'd love for him to just take it over, and I'd love to just do other things. But
Yeah.
I mean, we'll see what happens.
Yeah, it's like when you started this, you didn't know what it was going to become. You know, you didn't know. I mean, you really didn't know if somebody was going to take to it and be like, "Oh, like with this, what we're doing now." We don't know if anybody's going to take to this, but to us, this is something that we enjoy doing, and that's why we want to bring nostalgia back. You know, gaming and the old school, what got us into it, and what really made us upset and almost made us just like break a TV, you know? I mean, just break the Nintendo. You know, everybody remembers like I'd hit my Nintendo so much, like you would have to turn the cartridge, you would have to blow in it. You know, all that old little tricks of the trade.
Yeah,
just
you
to
get
get the
you
Nintendo.
can put another part on top of the card.
Yeah, oh yeah, I remember that.
Or you
Yep.
can take your finger and just do that.
Yeah.
Right there. And just
Just sit there and just, I remember that, dude.
Yeah, everybody always knew their Nintendo, and it was always, it was finicky. So
Yeah. I wonder if they like tested that stuff. Like all the testers are back there like, this isn't working, guys. Try blowing it. Like who was the first one to do it? Like Just the weird stuff. It didn't work, you know. I mean, maybe pray before you put in Bible stories. Or
Possibly, yeah. Yep.
Like if that didn't work, like, uh-oh, we got to stop playing Nintendo, guys. We got to stop playing games.
Yeah,
but they get the whole on the egg.
Go outside and play.
I don't know.
We did that as well. So.
See, and I did, but like I can remember like always setting up a TV outside, playing Nintendo outside on my front porch, and having a big old jug of Kool-Aid out there, and just people driving by and looking at me like, what is this kid doing? You know, like, and that's all I was doing. Like, people, friends would come over, let's go play basketball. I got double dribble.
There you go.
You know what I mean?
Double dribble. Anyway, I like it too.
Like, dude, I ain't about to sweat, and I got a whole jug of Kool-Aid. This ain't happening. And the Kool-Aid was made with 6 cups of sugar.
Oh my.
So yeah, I was up to like 4:30, 5 o'clock in the morning. The sun coming up. I was like, well, I can't see the screen no more because the screens were so bad. So once the sun came up, I was done playing. So it was kind of bad after that.
Oh, nice.
Is that Mario that keeps going on?
Yeah, Mario's talking to us.
That's awesome.
Sounds like Kermit the Frog.
Yeah. But actually, that's gonna be the first game we're gonna play through. Not fully through, but we're gonna play Mario Brothers after we film this. We're gonna go home and go to his man cave.
All right.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I haven't seen it yet. Haven't seen his game room yet. But I'm sorry, dude. It's gonna be very unimpressive being here and then going there and be like, well, this is cool.
Just wait, we're gonna buy some stuff before we leave. So
Okay.
see what happens. You gotta edit that out.
It's like, wait a minute, that wasn't part of the deal. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, so do you constantly like go to different stores or anything like that, or?
I believe it or not, I don't get out much. I'm here most of the time. I'm the only one that works on a lot of the electronics and stuff around here, so.
So you get some of the guts of the things that you actually fix the stuff.
Yeah.
So you clean all the systems, games, and that kind of stuff? So
Yeah, we take them apart, we reassemble them pretty much. All the old stuff, like Nintendo specific, we replaced 72-pin adapters, which is the weak point of the system. Yeah, I mean, we refurbish everything we sell.
Whoever knew that would be a thing, you know what I mean? Like that, like now, that would be something.
Yeah, it's wild.
That you have to fix something like that, you know?
Yeah, we'll just think about like all the carts, like some of them have batteries that are just dead now.
Yeah, the batteries, we do a lot of replacement batteries as well.
Now, is there gonna be a point where this is not gonna exist that you cannot fix it no more? You think?
Actually, it's funny you say that. They said I read somewhere, and I don't quote me on it, but I guess the chips that the games are written on, they have a lifespan, and it's not going to be in our lifetime, but it'll probably be like possibly our grandkids. Those chips will die at some point in time, but by then I think I did some calculations. I think we'll have replicators by then, so we'll be able to just put a game in and replicate it in 3D, Star Trek style. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, like the 3D printers, basically?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's straight out of sci-fi. So
yeah, you're just sitting back there thinking, okay, guys, this is the next step of evolution for the Nintendo.
That's
you know,
right.
You got all these VR systems, and he's still thinking about the Nintendo.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, but I'm not sure. There's some spec about the chips that they will fail at some point in time, but all of the ROMs have been saved. I mean,
Yeah.
I mean, emulation is the thing now.
Yeah.
You'll be playing it on a portable device, and you'll play pretty much any game.
I'm not saying I own any, but I know they're out there.
Yeah, they're out there.
It's like the X-Files?
They're out there. But yeah.
Dude, I remember, the emulation when that came out, I was like, there's no way. It's like when, you remember when LimeWire and all that stuff came out, and like, people were down, and it was like, there's no way this is real. And then when you found out it was real, it was like, oh my gosh, you know?
Yeah, get whatever you want.
Yeah, besides the fact that it was thieving, but it was like, yeah, you just get whatever you want. You want that? Well, let's get it. You know, it's just crazy that it's evolved like that, you know?
Oh yeah.
But it's like the games now, there's no way of like it evolving like that. You know, especially with them going to digital now, like collecting, I think collecting's almost, at some point there's not going to be a card no more. There's not going to be a case. There's not going to be a disc. It's all going digital.
Yeah. Well, I don't know.
Nintendo's still holding on. They've even said the next generation system, so the Xbox and the next PlayStation will have some sort of physical media. I don't know how, especially if they're going to have.
It'll be some type of solid state, like a SD card or something. I mean, kind of like the DS games that or Switch games. I mean,
Yeah, 'cause there's no way a disc's gonna last, dude.
Well,
You know, I mean, the discs scratch fast.
Well, disc is an old medium. I mean, the Blu-ray was possibly the last step. You know, I mean, what other disc are we gonna get?
Yeah.
We're not gonna get another disc.
Plus, those tend to degrade faster than even cards.
Well, they'll get scratched and stuff like that. Too.
I could remember like some of my discs for my PlayStation and stuff, and older games I had, it would burn through. Like you would be able to hold the disc up, and
Yeah, there
was no paint on the other side. It was like burnt through.
Yeah, there's all sorts of stuff that can happen with discs. I'm not a big fan of discs. I mean, we have them at our store because, you know, I mean, we just happen to have games, and a lot of people have discs. And if it was up to me, I mean, we're Cartridge Gaming. If it was up to me, I would get rid of all discs. But it's like almost like a necessary evil now.
Yeah.
You know. But,
I mean, that's one thing too. You know, I got a lot of old like Xbox One, the original Xbox games, a lot of PlayStation 1 games, a lot of PlayStation 2 games, and a lot of them I hadn't even tried to play it because I'm like, I don't even want to try to play it because if I try to play it, it could be the last time it's ever going to get played.
I think that for me, that's kind of why, and I know like people are like, well, why do you go buy a box? Because that's why I like collecting for the Switch. It's because you get a physical cartridge with it.
yeah.
And I know for the most part, you open it up and you don't get anything.
Yeah, it's
other
a
than the card.
Little deal.
Unless you buy limited run games and they actually put stuff in there, and that's
Right.
cool.
Right.
But that's why I like collecting for the Switch, is because just something about Nintendo in general, about collecting a cartridge for Nintendo is just really cool for me.
Well, I know now I got to go buy all my 3DS games that I have. I got to go buy the cartridges for it, the actual cases for it, because like I had a ton of them just sitting there. My wife's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "Nothing." Well, I think it's time to get rid of them. Well, I don't want to. She's like, well, I'm gonna be leaving if you don't get rid of them. Well, I guess they're going there. You know, it's like that.
So you got to
it was
keep
a
the
tough
games,
choice, man.
Keep the games.
Gotta keep the games. I got rid of the cases. So I was like, and then she talked me into it. You know, she was like, yeah, just what do you need them for? You don't look at them. You don't do anything. I was like, yeah, you're right. You know, like she talked me into it. And then after I did one, I was like, she is so wrong. I wanted to set these up so I wanted to have a shelf with all these cases, and now that ain't gonna happen. You know, now I got these booklets of CDs and a case that holds like 20 DS games in there, and it's like, that's not cool
Right.
to me. But I mean, that's a thing too. Like, you sell just cases at all?
I actually have an empty case collection back there that you could look through if you want.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I have. I don't really sell the cases because a lot of times we'll get loose games in, and I just pair them up with the case. So.
Nice, yeah. I don't know. That's like you. That's what you want, right? The case of game.
Yeah, I just like to see it on the shelf. It's kind of just a display thing for me. It's cool. It's been something I've always wanted as a kid, you know.
Well, and they had really good art, but you know, on the NES games.
Oh yeah.
I think wasn't it like the Japanese NES games they had a pretty small form factor, and when they came to the U.S., they realized they wanted more to put more art on there or something like that. So if you look inside an NES game, that little
that big,
and the rest was only there for pretty much for the art and for however they were putting it into the system.
I'll tell you what, though, that Nintendo, it does look nice. Even though you don't got the case, like when you have the Nintendo games just set like that, you just see the names on top of you. That's like seeing that. I can remember that when I had my collection, dude. I would just look at it like, oh, that's awesome. You know, I'd grab Battletoads or I'd grab Ninja Turtles and look at it.
The art was great on a lot of that stuff.
Yeah, even the booklets. I mean, I remember having a shoebox full of just booklets of all these different games, even games I didn't have. Once again, you know, the devil made me get rid of them. So.
But it's funny too, because my sister found me a pretty good lot at the garage sale last year, and inside it had like one of those big NES like what you call it, like a holder that would have like you put the games in, you put the system in.
Yeah, like the game center or whatever it's called.
Exactly. But I pulled it out and there was just stacks of manuals. I'm like, oh, like it was just cool to have. I keep wanting it from my wife. More manuals. I like those too.
Yeah, that's one thing. I don't know. Like, with my collecting when I restarted, like what I want. I know.